Hey guys, welcome back to Metin. So in this video we are going to learn about the anatomy of the sole of the foot. Basically it's just an introduction to the skin, superficial fascia as well as the deep fascia of the foot. So we know that the sole of the foot, which it will meet the ground, right? And it also helps in the wearing of body weight as well as locomotion. So the sole of the foot helps in body weight as well as the locomotion. Let's begin learning about the skin. So what are the features of the skin? Number one, it is thick as well as it is hairless, right? Thick and hairless. And second point, the skin also has many sweat glands. Large number of sweat glands. And it also has an underlying deep fascia. We have an underlying deep fascia, as well as it contains creases at the site of skin movements. We can see some of the creases at the site of skin movements. So, sole of the foot. Beginning with the skin is thick and hairless. It contains large number of sweat glands. It has an underlying deep fascia and it has creases at the site of skin movements. Now moving on to the superficial fascia. So what do we have in the superficial fascia? The superficial fascia of the sole of the foot is majorly composing of subcutaneous fat. We have subcutaneous fat. Subcutaneous fat. And this subcutaneous fat is generally thickened in various regions. What are those regions? Those regions are nothing but as the weight bearing points of the sole of the foot. Weight bearing points of sole of foot. Let's look at the weight bearing points of the sole of the foot. So suppose this is the sole of the foot with the big toe and the small 5 middle toes. We have the posterior tubercle of the calcaneum, this point, posterior tubercle of the calcaneum. Then we have the heads of the metatarsals, and these pulps of the digits. So these are the weight bearing points of the sole of the foot. The posterior tubercle of the calcaneum along with the metatarsal heads as well as the pulps of the digits. So the superficial fascia, especially in these weight bearing points of the foot, it is thickened, as well as it is also the less thickened in the other regions in these areas. So this is about the superficial fascia. Now let's look at the innervations of the superficial fascia. Innervations of the superficial fascia. So we have, considering this as the sole of the foot, and what are the innervations? Let's see. So this part, this region is supplied by the tibial nerve. Which nerve? Tibial nerve. And what are the branches? They are the medial calcaneal branches of the tibial nerve. Now let's look at another one. This part of the foot. This part is supplied by the medial plantar nerve. We have medial plantar nerve, and this nerve supplies this part of the sole of the foot. Now moving on to the last part, this green part of the sole of the foot, this is supplied by the lateral plantar nerve. Lateral plantar nerve. So this is the sole of the foot, and the cutaneous branches of medial plantar nerve, lateral plantar nerve as well as the tibial nerve in the subcutaneous fascia will supply this part of the sole of the foot. Now let's look at the deep fascia of the sole of the foot. Moving to deep fascia. deep fascia is also called as plantar fascia. And what do we have in the deep fascia? The deep fascia is called as the plantar fascia, and it contains three parts. What are those three parts? We have the central part, the medial part, as well as the lateral part. So these are the basic main three parts of the deep fascia. Let's look at them now. Suppose this is the foot with the big toe, the four other toes. We have this central part. This part is the central part of the deep fascia, and along with it we have this part, and that is the lateral part, and this part is the medial part. So these are the basic three parts of the deep fascia. And this central part, this is called as the plantar, this is completely called as the plantar fascia, and this central part is called as the plantar aponeurosis. So this is about the introduction to the sole of the foot. We'll begin with the sole of the foot, that is the skin. And skin is thick and hairless. It contains large number of sweat glands. It also has an underlying deep fascia with creases at the site of skin movements. Moving to the superficial fascia, we have superficial fascia is made up of the subcutaneous fat, and it is generally thickened at various regions, and these various regions is nothing but as weight bearing points of the sole of the foot. And what are the weight bearing points? They are the posterior tubercle of the calcaneum, the heads of the metatarsals, as well as the pulps of the digits. And the superficial fascia contains cutaneous innervations, which include the tibial nerve, medial plantar nerve, and the lateral plantar nerve. And finally, moving to the deep fascia of the sole of the foot. Deep fascia is also called as the plantar fascia, and it contains three parts: central, medial, and lateral. The central part is called as the plantar aponeurosis, and we'll have a separate video discussing about the plantar aponeurosis. So thank you for watching this video. If you like it, make sure to subscribe and hit the like button, and also share it to your other friends who want to learn more about the anatomy. Thank you so much.